So then, just how is a C90 as a daily driver? Well, let's see. You're using it as a daily driver every day, to and from work, do your shopping, all that stuff. It can be done. It can be done. There is a little hook here, which is where my charger sits, but that little hook there, that can be used to hold your shopping. So if you're not wearing a backpack, that's really good. But that just sits in there nicely, and I can take that off if I want. But that's my charger, cigarillo port. This C90 is, what, 20 years old? Doesn't really matter how old it is. They're all the same pretty much. That is its third set of clocks, so the true mileage is around like 60 or 70k. Not entirely sure. On the MOT, the mileage has gone up and down over the past 5-6 years I've had this thing. I used to use it as a little run around for town, and then I stored it away for literally a year, and then when everything went wrong, well, when other bikes went wrong, I pulled this thing out as a backup. 30 kicks later and it went no problem. MOT'd it and back on the road it was, no problem. Yeah, so as a daily driver, is this any good? I mean, it'd be better if I had proper tyres. These are horrible in the wet. They lock up quite good in the wet, so they look alright, but they're just not good for that. It's cheap on insurance, it's cheap on the petrol, it's cheap on road tax. I think this thing cost me, the first year I bought this, I think it was £42 for the year, for the insurance for the year. That's on a multi-bike policy for £40. The next year after that was like £12, the year after that. It's hard to check because of the policy it comes through. The first bike is paid for, then the rest of the bikes go on at a penny each. So technically it costs 1p to insure for the year. That's what it says in the paperwork, but it's hard to say exactly how because of how they did the paperwork. But let's just say this cost me 1 penny to insure for the entire year. It is the cheapest bike to run that I know of. I don't know anything cheaper than that. It's Japanese, it's old. Things that have gone wrong with it and broken, has it ever broken down on me in the 5-6 years that I've had this thing? Yes, it has. What's gone wrong? Let's have a look at what's actually gone wrong. When I went off-roading and drowned it, that I didn't like it. It got me home, but the next day wouldn't start. I had to get a new carburetor. The whole carburetor was just destroyed inside. It needed, because I took the whole thing apart and everything just fell apart because it had been together for like 20 years, and I needed to get a rebuild kit. Rebuild kits at the time, that was 5-6 years ago, quite hard to get a hold of. Now it's a little bit easier, but you still have to get a genuine one, and it was cheaper to get a £30 carb than to get a rebuild kit. With the carb, it's slightly harder to start in the cold weather because it's an aftermarket carburetor. It doesn't like it in the super cold weather, like we're talking like really freezing temperatures. It will start, but it doesn't like it as much. And it's slightly more juicy on the fuel, but that might be because also my original exhaust snapped off, and I had to put this cheapo one that I bought on, and this has been on there for 3 years. It's like a pit bike exhaust. It kind of fits, not quite. I've had to do some adjustments to make it to fit, but it's pretty much on there. The reason why this dodgy exhaust wrap is on here, because of this. When that was on there, it would just vibrate too much, so I just put that. It removes the vibration off the rear foot lever, which is good. Oh, my rear shocks went as well, so I had to spend an extra £30 to get them replaced, to buy new ones, and then just undo, take out, put on. So yeah, it's not that hard. The only time it's left me stranded is when I got a puncture. So I got a puncture once, and I got a puncture again a little while ago, like another year later. And what it was the inside of the rim was a little bit rusty, so I took a wire brush to it, brushed it all down, got rid of all the rust, electrical tape inside, rim tape, all that stuff, put it all inside, nice and thick. No punctures since then, hopefully. But no, I haven't had a puncture since then. Yeah, and that tube I think is quite old. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, that's good. So yeah, it is a cheap everyday bike. Now, to get to and from work on it, I used to travel 40 miles or 50 miles a day. 25 miles there, 25 miles back every day. Now, did I do it on this? No. I did it on a nice Kawasaki GPZ 500. But when that went wrong, and believe me, it went wrong once, and it also happens at the same time my other bike had got a puncture. So at the time I had 3 bikes, but actually 4 bikes, but I wasn't running one. And this little baby came back out the shed, or back out the back of the garage. It was at the back of a garage. Put it out in the back of the garage, fired it up, and off I went on this little thing. 25 miles there, 25 miles back, and I did that for about a week. And was it good? Was it pleasant? No, it wasn't good at all. In the wind, and especially as it's winter time, I did actually get a screen. I've actually got a screen for it. Got a nice big screen, which takes the wind off as well, which gives you this full sense of speed because you've got no wind movement. So you think, oh, it's you know, it's not going to think. I've got no feet down. Oh, it's actually harder to figure. Can you see my feet? I wonder if you can see my feet. If I look down, I don't know if I'm going to look down. But this thing is pretty easy to control. Slow control, you know. I'm doing full lock turns. Almost tipped over then, but yeah, full lock turn. Sounds good as well. I mean, yeah, it's a nice little, you know, you can commute on this. It wasn't particularly great, and time-wise, in heavy traffic, it only took about 5-10 minutes more. That was it. That was literally it. So yeah, it's a nice little bike. I can see I'm almost empty on fuel. That is still enough to go, when it's on that little bar, I know this bike very well, that is enough to go 30 miles. That is enough to go 30 miles on that. 25-30 miles, no problem on that. So in total with this tank range, it's really weird because when I filled up this bike, I don't know if it's dual C90s, although I've got 2, so that's how good that I like these bikes. I've actually got 2. Well, actually, technically I've got 2 C90s, and I've got one older one which is like a cub, which is slightly different, but it is essentially a C90 at height. It does fall under that C90 range. So yeah, it seems to drain very quickly to half, and then it will take forever to drain from the last half to E. I don't know why that is, but it just does. It just does like that. Got one mirror on, so it's a starlight to roll, and then I can put my phone mount there, and I can send texts and everything like that as I drive. Because as a C90, now this is what's really nice about it, the indicator's on the right hand side. What other bike, even the new C125, the only reason that it's like so close but no cigar is because the indicator's on this side. On this side I've got my lights, got my horn, which if I have to use the horn I'm basically dead because this thing is not very loud. I've got my high beam and low beam, but when I had to redo all my wiring, this is now my high beam and this is my low beam. So I've accidentally swapped it round somewhere in there when I sorted out the lights. The throttle cable went and it's all in here, so it's really annoying to get all the wires out to like change all this. But yeah, literally everything, nothing has really gone wrong apart from when I drowned it and a puncture. That's literally it in 5 years. Things have become loose, like screws have come out, and once the steering, the bolts in here one of them had come loose, so there was a slight up. This thing could go slightly left and right, which is quite humorous, I guess. That's it really. But yeah, you can drive this completely one-handed. Indicate right, indicate left, cancel in the middle. Yeah, it's a bit tricky to learn how to do that cancel indicator. You get your front brake here, you get your rear brake down there, and there's no clutch here because you've got the semi-automatic gearbox. So yeah, it truly is a one-handed bike. You can text in one hand, hold your beer, whatever you want. You can still ride around, hold your shopping bag. It's quite a good commute around town. For that longer trip, it took about 10 minutes more, to be honest. It wasn't that much difference, especially in heavy traffic, because it's so small. You can just pick it up. Look, see, the petrol's gone up a little bit now. I don't know if that's the... because when you turn it on, there we go, it's taking a different reading. So yeah, I've got a nice leg shield to keep your legs warm. So yeah, it is really good as a little daily... it can be used as a daily driver in this day and age. You'd want to take a nice big beefy padlock with you, because someone could pick that up and take it away very easily. This one, it came like that, but someone did try to nick it, you could see. And the steering lock on this one's been broken. Down here, some of the steering lock's been broken. How much did it cost me to service this thing? Every year I service it usually. It's like whatever oil I've got around the house or left over from other services, so you know, you get the odd bottle left over here and there, so it gets whatever oil, whatever flavour oil I've got running around. So let's just put a cost of like £5 on that. It's like it's like another £5 for the air filter, and then a couple of quid for a spark plug if you want to get a spark plug. I change my spark plug every like 2 years, and this bike does get run quite a lot. Sometimes that spark plug is black, sometimes the spark plug is okay. The engine started to rattle once, and it hasn't, and I was waiting for it to, conk out. It hasn't conked out yet. I'm running it till it blows up, essentially. Rust is probably going to claim this bike before the engine dies or anything like that. Yeah, it's just my little C90 as a daily driver. It's a cheap daily driver. It doesn't look, it looks funky. It's not particularly quick. It's fun to ride on your own or with other C90s or with other scooters, but you're not going to have any fun riding with anyone who's got more than, even a 125 is not fun to ride with, because they've got at least 15 brake horsepower, or 14 or 12 or whatever they've got. This has only got 6 or something. So yeah, the C90, literally the cheapest commuter you can get. And even the brakes, front drum, rear drum, I think I've been through maybe 5-6 years, I've been through maybe three brakes in the entire time. I don't know, brake hard and all that. 3 changes. I don't know if that's like 2 on the front, 1 on the rear. It's the same for front and rear, so it all fits together nicely. It all fits together. My suspension is squeaky as anything. Right, let's go fill this up, see how much it costs. Oh, I want the V-Power. What is this, V-Power? Yeah, V-Power. No, I really like V-Power. So, a V-Power costs more than the other one, regular, but got an old engine, all that carbon build up, and turns into a high compression engine. So, that's why you want 99. So 340, and that'll do about 100 miles, 80 to 100 depending on how you ride. 80 to 100 if you ride flat out, especially with this exhaust on it. You're looking at more of the 100 range, 90 to 100. If you had the standard exhaust with the standard carburetor, then yeah, you're looking at a bit more, like 120 maybe. not too bad.
Well, that's just my thoughts on the bike. Never going to sell it. Thanks for watching. Drop it a like. Subscribe. Ring the bell. Check out my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And I'll catch you in the next video.